We are in the heart of training camp now, and this is my stream draft number 150 of the year. So we have streamed that entire tournament's worth. Of course, I'm all in a draft room. It was a snap filled today, so we are getting a lot of randos, a lot of no badges here up top. So we will see what these guys do. I'm in the 12 hole. Is it a Puka Nacua Marvin Harrison Jr. day? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. We'll find out coming up in a few picks here. Appreciate you guys watching live, though, or after the fact. Now we're going up against Davis Maddock today, so that doesn't mean go watch his stream, but it does mean I appreciate you guys even more for being here on the day where we have some big competition going, some big names, I'm sure, coming up on that stream as well. But we'll see what we do in this one. Pick it from the 12 hole. Lots of time to fill up top with our training camp news. And it was not the newsiest day yesterday for what it's worth. We will hit up the items that I thought were interesting. We have Malik Neighbors. All business during stretch lines is the exact quote, and this is, again, an exact quote, which I thought was interesting. Stretch lines, which have been used for dance rehearsal by other receivers in the past. Feels like we're talking about like an Odell Beckham type there. I don't know who else they'd be talking about. Kenny Galladay. I don't know what Giants have flamed out, but apparently Malik Neighbors, there was a training camp diary of him, which I read on The Athletic. Nothing of note there besides him not getting targeted, him kind of demanding more reps because of the fact he wasn't getting targeted. Again, nothing that interesting with Neighbors other than the fact that he's a pro, he's out there, he's doing his work. And one little interesting anecdote as well about him going against one of the corners, asking the corner why he was able to tell what stopped him on the route. And basically was that Neighbors got off the line too fast when getting press covered. So obviously Neighbors getting away from press coverage, a good thing. Less of a good thing when you're running a hook route. So doesn't matter for really what we're looking at fantasy-wise, but thought it was interesting to have a little bit of shade thrown by the report here in the Malik Neighbors diary. We have Kenneth Walker, who had a good spring and a good summer, according to in the padded practice as well. And Albert Breer says that Zach Charbonnet is behind him. So we've talked before about the ambiguous backfield there, given the fact that we do have a new coaching staff there, new head coach, new offensive coordinator. Just one of those things can make for an ambiguous backfield situation. Having both those things combined can make it even more interesting. And A.J. Brown goes, and bah! Puka Nacua goes at 11. Oh! This fucking combo. This was it. This was the day. I can't get it. Harrison and London is a popular duo for me. Harrison and Olave may be more interesting. People reach for Olave and Adams. They don't reach for that combo. God damn it. The tilts. Harrison's one of the picks. I know that. Completely positive camp team for him, finally getting acknowledged, I think, by people that he is the player that we thought he was at the moment of looking at his data. And I think it's Chris Olave here, unless I want to try to get unique. Is it unique to go up and get like Nico? Then I have a shot maybe of getting Tank on the way back. A shot. Maybe not the best shot in the world. Let's not get too outside of the norm here, I guess, and stick with Chris Olave. I know going Harrison and Drake London has been a frequent pairing for me. I could look up the exact numbers on the best ball overlay tool, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I know that's been one that I have my priors are heavily dug in on both those guys. That said, here we will go Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave. I think a little bit more unique combo here. We are in unique combo season on the turn because I have had more than enough picks at the turn to get different exposures there, and I keep getting the same ones. Shout out to all you guys watching live. Deonta Foreman immobilized, leaving on a cart. That is a new one. That's not fun. And let the man have his combo. Not today. Not today. Morning Squirt Squad headed to work, but hope Spags gets all of his stacks. 10 or more spots past ADP. I am not get sniped. Well, it's not a great start here, but happy to get a Harrison Olave start. Two guys I like enough. Two guys who are in the mix here. One of the reasons I don't mind picking at the turn, even when getting sniped repeatedly, on my dream week 17 scenario of Puka Nacua and Marvin Harrison going head to head, because I think there's a lot of young, talented guys in that turn, and I'm happy to get different exposure to them. Even Garrett Wilson, if he's going to fall to the turn, I'll take him sometimes. So to me, that spot's not a bad one, even though people do hate the turn, and I find it a little bit fatiguing when you're constantly stuck there. But to have it here and there, look, if I had half my exposure being the 11, 12 picks, I wouldn't even be mad at it because I think you get enough combos there of guys. And as we get into August, especially, it could start to drive up the Nikos, maybe try to find more unique pairings with Houston. And that could be it. Other news items, though, keep going through that stuff. So this is one from a guy that a lot of people on Twitter don't like, but I think he's a perfectly fine reporter who I know from my days at Barstool, Ben Volen. Joe Milton has outplayed Drake May through practice so far was Ben Volen's quote. Now, I don't think that means everything. I think that's one beat reporter saying it. Not everybody else has been saying it, though. Not a lot of people have been talking about Joe Milton at all. That said, for Joe Milton, he's a guy with a big arm. His accuracy is roughly where Drake May's is, I think, in terms of how they played in college. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's a true report. Doesn't mean that Drake May is not going to get there. Again, doesn't mean that Drake May is not going to start by the end of the year, but it does mean to me that we are more likely in a world where Jacoby Brissett is going week 1. And Gerard Mayo himself, the new head coach, has said that if these guys are even in camp, it's Jacoby Brissett's team in week 1. So I think expecting Drake May to be out there early is still something I don't expect. And I think stuff like this lends more credence to it. Let's see. Going to be 30% MHJ because you don't want to get others get Puka MHJ on your stream. To be clear, I just like MHJ a lot, but yes, that also certainly a part of it. They're not going to get it in my face when I'm not going to get it. I'll tell you what. We got Jalen Tolbert playing well, building rapport with Dak, and he does seem currently like the Dallas wide receiver 3. He's been acting like the wide receiver 2 with CeeDee Lamb still in his hold in, or I guess more of a holdout. I don't even think he's actually at the practice field at all. So a holdout for CeeDee Lamb. He is got to be racking up big fines at this point. Surprised they've not come closer to terms on a deal because it's like $40K a day, right, for missing practice. Might be wrong on that number. How much does player get fined missing practice holdout? You have $40,000 a day. So that's a lot of money that CeeDee Lamb is racking up, even if he's going to be paid a bunch. Oh, it's 16. Okay, 16.5 for the first day, 33K for the second day, 50K for the third day, and then wow, then it could be up to 50,000 per day moving forward. That's a lot of money for CeeDee Lamb to be losing. But anyway, point being, it's opening an opportunity for Jalen Tolbert. So Tolbert, a guy that I think there's a point where I said, hey, maybe start mixing Jalen Brooks a little bit if you want to take that late receiver. I didn't really do it much myself. I don't think I took any Jalen Brooks at all. But I did think there was concern that Brooks could supplant Tolbert. It seems like now we are locked into Tolbert being that guy. So he's playing well enough. He's got the role. If he plays well enough in the season, he'll keep the role. If he doesn't, maybe Jalen Brooks gets in the mix. Maybe somebody else does as well. Drake May is setting up like Mitch Trubisky. I don't believe that. I think he's still a better player than Mitch was. He's just going to take some coaching, and there's going to be accuracy issues. Like you can't throw under 60% on target, or, just like he's got to be better than that. And I think maybe they'll coach him there. I don't know that the team in place right now is going to be the one that makes him, reach his accuracy ceiling, but it's got to get better for him on that front if he's going to, make it count for himself. Jalen Hurts goes to 34 here to the guy with AJ Brown. He would not wait. Would have been logical for him to push Jalen Hurts to 39, given that no QBs have gone, but that is non-badge drafting sometimes. That's how it goes. We will see what Hollywood Andy does here, and then what we get back. If he doesn't take Tank, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed in myself for not taking Tank, to be honest. All right, he doesn't take Tank. We've got Harrison Olave. The Tank Zay double tap always feels pretty good for week 17. Could get my first share of Travis Kelce, but we don't, well. All right, Tank's one of the picks no matter what. I'm confident in that. Tank pick 1. We have Harrison Olave, Tank. We could get a week 16 correlation with Travis Kelce and just grab him. I do like Zay a little bit more. And again, we deviated here by reaching for Olave with Harrison. So let's go Zay. Let's try to not do too many things at once. We talked about this a lot. I thought Pat Kerrane cemented it in my head pretty well talking about it a few weeks ago. The idea of just if you're leveraging against yourself, taking some players you don't normally take or configurations you don't normally take here, like the Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, one I'm doing for myself. You don't want to then over leverage too much. Then like me start taking Travis Kelce for the first time. I want to still build a team that fits with what I like, but I want to make this one deviation I wouldn't normally do. So we have a Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave start. The easy week 17 around the turn correlation for Tank Dell and Zay Flowers. Very quiet camp for Tank, I feel like. I've talked about before. There has been some steam for Diggs, some steam for Collins, at least some good plays going for those guys. It doesn't seem like any of them are going to be playing today in this Hall of Fame game, which no starters playing for the Bears, no starters playing for the Texans, it seems. But that's, to be clear, that's not me doing DFS analysis. That's just the latest thing I read. I'm not going to play the slate. But I think for Tank, still comfortable taking him. Wouldn't shock me to see Tank if it just keeps being quiet around him. See him fall a little bit more around 40. But that time's not yet, I guess. More GMs coming in. Shouts to all you guys hanging out. Appreciate you guys. We'll see what we do the rest of the way. Other news here to close out this segment. And again, it's all kind of bum news. That's why I'm taking my sweet time doing it today. Gardner Minshew outplayed Aiden O'Connell yesterday. The first time anyone's outplayed anybody in Las Vegas camp so far. O'Connell has looked like the better player overall, but there really hasn't been a day where one guy looked good and one guy looked bad. Yesterday was about as close as it's been to that. Some other reports from Vegas coming out, too, about Devontae Adams looking apparently discontented on the sidelines already. You saw a receiver last year, or rather the season about last year. Devontae Adams, a more mercurial guy than it might seem, and he's getting older. He is not happy, it looks like, so far. So if you want to hold that against him, you can. Still think you take Devontae Adams at ADP and hope that they figure it out. But for right now, though, for Vegas, it's just not looking good in camp overall. Besides for like Dylan Labe. Like Dylan Labe seems like he's getting the only guy who looks good. Everybody else in the defense, I think, looks good. Everything on offense seems bad. This is how deep we're going, guys. Brendan Rice had the play of the day for the Chargers yesterday. The exact quote is he's consistent so far in camp. Brendan Rice is a guy I took a lot in the big board, have not taken since. Don't think it's a time to take Brendan Rice yet. But with that kind of mediocre wide receiver core for the Chargers, it's possible he could breed out Quentin Johnston, who, again, had more drops yesterday that we talked about on stream, had drops the day before. There's a social media clip of Quentin Johnston with a drop, and the team kind of looking dejected / sick of it afterwards. I think Warren Sharp tweeted that out. There's a shot that Brendan Rice can get there, but I think that for Brendan Rice right now, he's a player that I think has the talent, but he seems mostly blocked in a way. It's going to be hard for him to get in the field, especially with the low, like basically nothing draft capital he has. Let's see what else we got in news. Josh Reynolds making plays in camp for all the QB1 snaps. He gets his turn with an athletic puff piece. After the day before, we had a Troy Franklin athletic puff piece. Josh Reynolds playing well with somebody who's not Jared Goff is a shocker. When he went to Tennessee, he was a completely different player, was useless in that offense. Maybe he's learned enough for that second stint being on the Lions, being with Jared Goff. I'm not entirely sold yet, but I do think if you are dead again in the water, stacking things up, taking Bo Nix, taking Josh Reynolds, I think is a viable enough move. You got enough money. I don't think he's a great player without Jared Goff, but he's doing enough, it seems like. Are you fucking kidding me, man? No, I fucking didn't. It was the opening of the video. No, I didn't. I still have no shares of it. Kadarius Toney hurt at practice, exited on a cart. Kadarius Toney, again, a guy that I thought had one more shot at usefulness, catching passes out of the backfield. Him getting hurt again, being behind the 8 ball again. It's the same story as Kadarius Toney. You can't do what you have to do. You can't show the people what you have. You can't show the team what you have if you keep consistently putting yourself behind the 8 ball in terms of getting reps, in terms of earning trust, in terms of working on the rapport with the QB. That's Kadarius Toney for you. I wasn't taking him yet. I kind of wanted to keep an eye on it. I think if you were taking him at all in the 18th, 20th round, I would give up the ghost, and I'd probably favor Pacheco again for the fact that Pacheco probably going to get more work if Kadarius Toney is not getting these backfield targets. They could put Hardman in there too. Like Hardman and Toney, they view fairly interchangeably. And the last one here, I know a few guys defend this guy before. It's the only reason it's included. Robert Tonyan carted off the Vikings practice yesterday. A lot of people liked him, I think, as a guy's had an upside before. Filling in for TJ Hawkinson this year doesn't look good right now. We have a 0-0-4-0 going here. ADP wise, it would be Jaden Reed. Slight fall for him. I have been making up my exposure there. Chris Godwin, okay spot for him. I feel like we've got the bet on Houston. I will make this another Mixon team here. So Mixon will be one of the picks. Jaden Reed, we could get week 16 correlation with New Orleans. Could also get a share of Xavier Worthy, given that he's probably coming up. He's a sexier pick, I think, than Chris Godwin and maybe Jaden Reed too. Reed looking good in camp, though. I've got 8% Worthy. How do I have 8% Worthy? I'm shocked by that. All right, we're going to go Jaden Reed. I thought I had to make it up on Worthy, and apparently I've got enough discounted Worthy that I'm okay there. So Jaden Reed will make it up on him. Team so far is a 0-1-5-0. We have Joe Mixon, Marvin Harrison Jr., no Puka Nacua. We have Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, and Jaden Reed. So micro correlation so far. Week 17 correlation for Tank Dell and Zay Flowers, and of course Joe Mixon as well. We'll see what we get out of that. Shout out to our guy Tyler gifting a membership here. I appreciate it. Seems like Wounded Geese got here. Wounded Geese getting a lot of freebies from the channel lately, but appreciate Tyler with that kindness here, and glad to see Wounded Geese getting another one from being back on the hunt. Oh, Tonyan Hurt. I'm just going to take more Josh Oliver now. That's a fair way to look at it. I mean, Josh Oliver, I think less of a track record of success, but he's a really good pass blocker. I think he's a perfectly viable play. I would have favored Josh Oliver if you are looking for somebody to get you through the first 6 to 8 weeks of no Hawkinson. It's kind of a thin play after that, I would say, with Hawkinson's back out there. But if you need a third tight end, have Minnesota correlation. I think Josh Oliver would be the play. Yeah, people are just saying that too. Foreman carted out, immobilized is not good. I don't know where my Foreman exposure is. I was taking him, thinking the big board. Don't think I've taken him much in BBM. 1% Foreman for me. That's a victory lap. Somebody potentially being paralyzed, but not a great scene. You would think that. I guess it depends how they feel about Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb on the PUP list right now. They might add another back there because last year they didn't want Jerome Ford getting that goal line work. It could mean that Jerome Ford just gets more of a role for himself. He's been having a perfectly fine camp. Was good in mini camp more so. But they might add somebody there. Could Kareem Hunt come back again? If Kareem Hunt gets another injury leading to him getting a check, I swear to God, I'm not going to be happy about it. Oh, there we go. Jeff, same page. Kareem Hunt, welcome back. Fournette, no, I think they'd be much more likely to go to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt did his thing last year. He wasn't worth bringing back. If you have Nick Chubb coming back in and being healthy and you add Foreman, but he was like perfectly okay. Not a lot of juice or anything, but like he got touchdowns. They trusted him. What if Jerome Ford was held back by the ankle and groin early and late season? I hope that's the case. I don't think they used him as much as a pass catcher as I would have thought based on his early preseason usage and what he did in college as well. I think there's more of a ceiling for Ford. Like, I certainly think so. And obviously any injury there, if they don't add somebody else in, especially somebody who's good, I think that's certainly one where Ford, I've believed in Ford being in the 120s for a while now. He came down because of Nick Chubb squatting. So I think Ford's price tag has been elusive. He's one of my highest exposed guys, and I will continue to defend that to the death. Javonte Williams is on the Broncos. He's going to be a Bronco. There's not really, it doesn't seem like he's going to get cut. P-Ryan's still in the mix enough as well that beat report about one of them making the team maybe looking less likely right now with the usage that's happening. And Blake Watson still being out probably hurts that too. But I think Javonte is locked in the Broncos role. He's still going to lose it to Estime or a portion of it over the course of the season, but I think he's locked in the Broncos personally. Remember hearing what? I've never touted for Hunt in my life. I don't have a single sheriff. What are you watching, man? I've never touted for Hunt in my life. I've touted for Ford everything. I've touted for Ford since last year. I am Team Jerome Ford. I hate when people give me fucking takes that are not anywhere near my reality because that's not one. I'd guarantee I don't have a share of Hunt in anything. I don't know if Ant's trolling now at this point. Let's see. I'm going to my big board exposures just for the sake of clearing my name. Yeah, so here we go. Big board. The only Hunt I have is Hunter Henry. So no, I don't. And I don't tout things I don't draft. We're on the clock. Aaron Jones here. Oppo correlation for Jaden Reed. That feels fine. Okay. I think Aaron Jones is going to be one of the picks here at RB. Najee Harris, James Conner, both make sense as well. Feels like no matter what, this is kind of an RB pocket for us. Could add Addison. Addison at the discount doesn't feel that bad, but I've seen him get in the 90s as well. Oh, fucking thank God. Okay. The second famous person. Oh, sorry. Tyler, what this fucking idiot Tyler was touting Hunt? Jesus. Don't fucking accuse me of that one, though. All right, we got one more pick here. Najee feels okay. Connor correlates feels okay. Wouldn't mind getting more Najee. Got a lot of Connor. Do need more Warren. This is tough. I'm going to go Connor here. Wouldn't have minded Addison there either, but I would like to keep some receiver flexibility. So we are loading up at RB here. We got Joe Mixon right at ADP. A little bit of a value on Aaron Jones. James Conner, I'll call it a little bit of a value, but at ADP. Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, and Jaden Reed. So we've got some micro week 17 correlations, some late QB outs. Feeling okay about where we are right now. And hopefully we get something good back at 108. It's going to be my hope here. I don't want to spoil what I think could come back, but I'm optimistic we might get something interesting back at 108. There we go. Anyway, that was a nice comment by Ant calling Tyler a famous person, though. I'll give you that. Ford might end up being a Rashad volume type volume. That'd be great. I don't think it's going to happen, but that'd be great. I think he'd be better with it than Rachaad White is, personally. That boy's got a nose for the end zone, Jerome Ford. I mean, you saw it really. The most fun part of my DK final sweat last year, I'll tell you my least fun part was Jerry Jeudy. When Cortland Sutton was out in week 17, I'm talking myself into Jerry Jeudy getting there with Jarrett Stidham, only for Jerry Jeudy to throw the most limp Jerry Jeudy game out there. That was the worst part. The best part of my sweat was Jerome Ford, where he went nuts in that game against the Jets, and he was getting him through the air. He was breaking long plays. Jerome Ford, to me, is just one of those guys where we haven't seen the full ceiling because there's always somebody else in there taking work away. But if he ever gets the opportunity, like if Chubb's on the PUP list and then it's just him and Pierre Strong, I think Ford's going to do well for himself. But Pierre Strong now, I would say based on what we've seen so far in camp, Pierre Strong's been the direct Chubb backup. So if they don't sign somebody, Pierre Strong is alive to get goal line work as well. Something to keep in mind. Don't think he's too draftable, but if Foreman is... I shouldn't laugh. Like if Foreman's like fucking getting carted off paralyzed, seems like Foreman might be out for a good amount of time. I would say that Pierre Strong, if they don't sign somebody immediately, Pierre Strong is probably in the hunt for that work. And that might be part of why, too, they don't bring back Kareem Hunt. They've liked Pierre Strong in camp. That's what everybody's been saying. Guys, if you're watching live or after the fact, please do subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Splash play on that march to 4K subs now. And it is a death march because I scare everybody off. And I'm doing a niche on a niche here with how I approach best ball. But your support goes a long way here. Your likes go a long way. Your subscribes. And, of course, joining the channel down below for $4.99 goes a long way. With that, you also get my team reviews, 10 of them a month. You also get a VIP Discord, my rankings, which are updated weekly with 275+ player blurbs. And you can even export them to Underdog. And you also can get my news updates, which are in a Google Doc that's just pinned to the VIP Discord. So you now get 4 pretty big perks here. And I'm doing the best. I'm doing like a lot of work. Like every morning now I have to go and read everything. It's been helpful, honestly, for me. Like I basically spend my 10 o'clock hour every morning adding some items in that I didn't see the night before, catching up on everything, reading through all the Twitter things that I might have missed. And that's my process every day. And I put those news items and things that I find most interesting in there every day. Usually not stuff like, Christian McCaffrey looking good at camp, ran a touchdown in, like not that kind of stuff. But you can hear me talk about it every video. Hopefully you get a sense for my news prioritization accordingly. Basically, every play is a run play in Pittsburgh camp. Very bullish for Justin Fields, actually. He's looking good. And the lineman, he got chipped yesterday by one of the linebackers. Lineman immediately came to his defense. Like, there was a little bit of scuffle in camp over that. I think Fields doing what he had to do. I said it yesterday. Tomlin being the one holding Russ out feels very deliberate to me. Like, it feels like still Russ is the one they expect to be the starter. But I think they've seen enough from Fields and just kind of want to see what he can do in this situation. And he's doing okay. I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's running the ball. He's not turning it over a bunch. Inaccurate on some stuff. But a lot of 12 personnel for that team and a lot of 13 personnel for Pittsburgh's going on, which is interesting. There was one thing they were doing in Pittsburgh camp where they have basically an extra tight end, and an extra RB in for the 13 personnel. And then basically, or tight end and RB are split out, move them back in, and then Pickens is left all alone outside. That's one of the ways we're going to try to feed George Pickens, apparently, is like having 3 tight ends on the field and moving one of the tight ends and an RB around, basically, to get Pickens better matchups. So if you want to buy into Pickens, it seems like they're trying to find creative ways to get him on an island against guys. If you don't want to buy into Pickens, you just have to remember that Arthur Smith is the OC, and he completely sabotaged Drake London's career for a few years. So yeah, that's the trade-off. If Fields was named the starter, I assume he'd be the biggest riser of the year. He would probably go up 100 spots, 75 maybe for some risk baked in. But he would be in the 100s if I had to guess, 100 to 125 range. Yeah, look, I haven't believed in the bet, but that was also assuming that Russ was going to be there starting in day one, hogging all those first-team reps. Now that he's not doing that, and this is a team that wants to run the ball seemingly 90% of the time, I think Fields makes a lot more sense. So I don't know that I want to take Fields personally. I still think it's not the greatest thing to do without like true signal there, but it's getting there. Chase Brown, 105. He's coming up. I've been telling you guys to take Chase Brown in the 120s for a while, so hopefully you did that. All right, one more pick coming up here. Hollywood Andy could be a wild card for himself. He went Ricci for Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. So logically, another QB wouldn't make sense. Don't time out, Hollywood Andy. Don't you do it. Don't you time out on Jordan Love. Okay, I think he made a pick. He fucking timed out on Jordan Love. Oh, you have a badge. You have a responsibility to not be a fucking idiot. God damn it. All right. I thought we were going to get Jordan Love back for fucking free, which was going to be great. Oh, man. All right. Fuck. Taking one of these fucking RBs at least. Oh, man. Singletary. Honestly, I could do the both of them at this point and maybe be done at RB. If we just lock down the Tennessee backfield and we have Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Connor. Feels kind of fun, right? I don't think I'm alone in finding this fun. All right, Tyjae and Pollard. One of very few duos I will take together, but I think they work at ADP. Definitely as a faller here for Pollard. I think that's more unique as we go. So a 0-5-5-0 team so far because we did not get Jordan Love at a logical ADP. We got Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears is the RB room, and I think we're done, barring wanting to take a luxury one later on. Got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, and Jaden Reed. Getting Jaden Reed here paired up with Love would have been ideal. I would have been perfectly cool with a Love car stack. Now we're going to have to get a little bit inventive later on, but we'll try to get inventive as we go. Yeah, maybe it's a Justin Fields day. You might be right. Unbelievable. Time to set up some back stacks of QB. We'll do that in a little bit. Ugh. Unbelievable. Timeout picks. I would say timeout picks that snipe you worse than dumb people just sniping you. Because timeout picks with somebody sniping you, it's like, you know better. And you're unable to click the button fast enough. Like you just can't click the guy you want. It hurts. That hurts. But team feels okay though. Just got to make sure to stick the QB landing. And now we have a couple outs. We theoretically have outs for Tennessee now by adding those 2 RBs in. We still have a Minnesota out. We got some. Fields and Darnell. Darnell just loves to block, man. I think he's given up the ghost on trying to catch passes at this point. He's just out there to maul people on offensive line, play not a lot of snaps, hopefully get a second contract. That's what Darnell Washington's trying to do. Like Fields is the third QB paired with Freiermuth when you draft 2 statues like Stafford/Cousins. Gives you rushing upside, but you can take a 0. I mean, you don't really want to take a 0 with anything, ideally, especially when you get to the back half. I think the bet on Fields still has to be, wow, Ford up to 117 in this room. I don't know if this is a badge drafter being a silly boy or what, but Ford's been coming down a lot. So I'll be curious to see if he's coming up now. He should come up a little bit until the Browns do something about Foreman if he's going to be hurt. But yeah, interesting to see that. But yeah, for Fields, I don't know. Let's see what happens, I think, over the next few weeks is how I'd feel about Fields. You want to take him in a 3 QB build, though, I guess you can get it. But like, you got to keep in mind, there is still something you're losing by having a 0 at the position. Even though you're covered, obviously, you're still losing a spot that could have some other guy that pops up late. Like, what if Jalen Tolbert's a guy? What if CeeDee Lamb comes off his holdout and gets hurt, and then Jalen Tolbert's actually the wide receiver 2 for the Dallas Cowboys? A lot of things can happen with 18 round guys that I don't want to always give away a roster spot necessarily. Depends what the rest of the team is. And again, there's opportunity costs as well. You got to think about both sides. You can't just think about the positive side of the equation and go, I'll take the 0. You have to think about the other flip side of the equation. Like, let's say you took Justin Fields is in the exact same situation last year. You take Justin Fields in every draft. You probably didn't take Kyron. You probably didn't take Puka. You probably lost because of that. So like in general, you have to think about the trickle down of every choice you make, which is what we talk about with having internal logic for your teams. I get the idea of taking Fields. I get wanting that skeleton key rusher. You could also have a guy who's giving you a 0 in week 17, guy who has had an awful start and then got benched for Russ now is maybe in the cards. Still a lot of ways it can go wrong. Chubb rising and Ford falling makes no sense to me. I mean, that's how it goes. They should be diametrically opposed. But Chubb was rising because he was squatting. There was a lot of weights on it. And then there were reports of him cutting and moving, and that assuaged people's concerns. And then it turns out he's still not practicing. So I think people maybe are going to catch up with that at some point. A huge QB run here. These people like panicked at QB in this round. I mean, Caleb Williams is a discount, but 121 Herbert. Yikes. Anyway, I don't panic at QB. I'm happy to go. I'm happy to have 100% Daniel Jones, Bryce Young teams if that's what it takes. Dalton Schultz here correlates. We can keep making the Houston bet without the QB, which I do think makes sense. Backdoor stacking at this point, also an option. One of these picks for me is going to be Jalen Polk. I have to say that. I want to get my Polk exposure up. I like him. He's getting positive camp steam. All of that feels good. So Jalen Polk is going to be one of these picks. And I think Dalton Schultz is the other. Tough part of taking Jalen Polk, though, is I'm not setting myself up for a backdoor stack because I don't believe in Drake May actually starting. But still, Dalton Schultz feels fine here. So Dalton Schultz, come on down. Jalen Polk, come on down. Team so far is a 0-5-6-1 here. We are pushing QB late. Probably a 3 QB build at this point. We got Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, and Jalen Polk. And a tight end, Dalton Schultz, who is still one of my favorite tight end picks. Got him under 20%, though. I've quietly, since putting the best ball overlay tool on the screen for myself, I've been managing my exposures very adeptly, I feel like. So if you want to do that for yourself as well, bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH, get $10 off the first month. That means getting $20 for the first month here of all you're getting here with Best Ball Overlay, which is the tools on the screen, along with some data tools in the back end to help you see your exposures for week 17 stacks, for playoff stacks, things like that. So check it out, bestballoverlay.com, promo code SPLASH. Go use that down below. Supports the show and give yourself this data, which has been really a lot of helpful things for me. Like my exposures are flat in a way where I really like now. Like I've got a lot of guys I like at 10 to 16%. Obviously, we still have my massive Washington bets. That's fine. But I'm now leveling out guys like Dalton Schultz, who I've loved a lot, but I've kind of let him go a little bit more. So I was starting to do that without the best ball overlay tool, but having the numbers on the screen for me actually has been very helpful in terms of me figuring it out. All right, checking the chats here. I got Kendrick. Kendrick believes in me a BBM winner as much as anybody, and I appreciate him for it. And yeah, Kendrick Park, Kendrick Lamar, two of my favorite Kendricks. I think that's all the Kendricks I know, but those are my favorite Kendricks. What if Derek Carr, Jacoby Brissett, and Justin Fields is the 3 QB room you need? It's possible. These are all legit guys. We're not dead at QB. We've got outs. I think Derek Carr is very live to be a key part of a BBM winner. I know it's like people are spooked by that. Spencer Rattler's not good. Jake Haener is already behind Spencer Rattler. Derek Carr is like a guy who actually picked up at the end of last year. Like we saw him start to actually get good and then figuring out what he needed. Now, granted, a new OC there, Clint Kubiak coming in. Maybe Clint Kubiak doesn't know what to do with Derek Carr as much. But what's more logical is like Clint Kubiak watched the end of year film is like, oh, wow, Derek Carr started to get good. Oh, wow, Chris Olave happened to get better in this time frame as well. And Taysom Hill, we can use him in different ways that don't take away from Derek Carr. That's my bet on the Saints. I think they're going to be a mid team, but I think they're going to be 8-9, 9-8, maybe 7-10, somewhere in that range. They're going to be good. Good enough. Yeah, not good, to be clear. I don't think they're going to be good. Good enough. Good for fantasy. Good enough in real life. So we got on the way back here, getting very reachy. Hey, when you get Jermaine Burton at 144 when he's falling in every room because Andre Yoshevitz gets all the camp steam, why not do it? And if you could buy in on the camp steam for Rashad Bateman to take him at 145 when he's got it 170 for months, yeah, sure. Take that too. These are the rooms we like, but you have to point out what just reachy. Getting too reachy for players that are not going the direction that you're reaching for them. One of the worst things you can do in a draft, I will say unequivocally. This guy stacking up the same week 17 game, also not a thing you want to do. Separate game stacks. If you have 2 QBs, you want to have 2 week 17 game stacks. You have 3 QBs, you want to have 3 week 17 game stacks. Not the move there. I think, honestly, when we're going to obviously do the same thing we did last year where I track how my teams are doing throughout the course of a year. Talk about the advance rates, whatever. Talk about teams, players I feel good about, all that. This year, I feel like if my advance rate's substantially higher, it's going to be entirely, I guess there's 2 things I've done differently. More early RBs because of how ADPs have moved. The second thing has been just forcing myself into softer rooms. Like there are, I would say in this room, 4 to 5 teams that have made a couple of unequivocally bad moves that have hurt their teams. And I think that just doesn't happen when you are streaming in a room like our pal Pete does, like I've done in previous years, where it's like, oh, we get everybody in and we welcome all and like all the sharp drafters are in. You get some cleaner stuff, but you just don't get as many idiots. Like you need, like you want idiots in your rooms. I think ideally people don't know what they're doing. Shouldn't even say idiots. They might be geniuses. Probably not. We got, oh boy, Hunter Henry. Do we just do New England? Do we do the Jacobs stack? Might be it. All right, I think we're going to do Hunter Henry here. Hunter Henry, when you're behind the tight end a little bit, got Dalton Schultz. Not the most exciting, electric, I would say, tight end room in the world, but it is a room. And now I think we got to go up and get a QB. But like what? I mean, it's really not time for Levis yet. We still have Derek Carr late. We still have the Patriots guys late. Quentin Johnston? Do we buy the dip on QJ at this point? I think we do. He's free almost. He does go later sometimes. He might have gone later in this room if I had let it slide because people are really terrified of the drops. But we have this bet on New England now. We have to get QBs late. We got enough rounds to do it still. The team is a 0-5-7-2. I'm not panicked. Are you panicked? Don't be. We got Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Jalen Polk, and Quentin Johnson as our wide receiver 7. Now we have Dalton Schultz and Hunter Henry. So team feels okay to me, as okay as anything with Quentin Johnson can feel. Wanted the LAC bring back for New England. We got it there. We'll live with it. Could also do Chark later on and just get both sides of it. Just capture the theoretical X roll for the Chargers. It is hard to take any other QB in the Las Vegas-New Orleans game still. If I had to choose, I would take Aiden O'Connell, but you saw the other day when I had a little bit of New Orleans, Las Vegas built, I took Aiden O'Connell and I didn't think like, oh, Derek Carr, I already have Juwan Johnson. Derek Carr to me is a better play than both Vegas QBs by like a wide margin. Derek Carr is a better QB play to me than a lot of guys, honestly. I know it's like, again, that might be sacrilege to some of you guys out there, but it's like getting a guy for free who's a starter who we saw carry teams in the playoffs last year. I mean, carry stacks in the playoffs last year. I don't know what else you need for a guy as a bailout. Getting clean stacks at the ends are tough. Just feels like you're unlucky with nothing falling to you. That made sense. Yep, that is true. I'm not worried about it. I think these guys have been a little bit QB piggery, like a lot of 2 QB builds already done. A couple guys need one more. Hopefully they won't conflict. And if they do, then we'll find somebody else. QB will never be something I panic about because of what QB can be. Like, I don't want to end up last year where, like, I didn't like Kenny Pickett really as a player, but I took a lot of him because I like Pickens, and I'm like, oh, let's just stack it up and get there. I want to be mindful of QBs that can score enough to beat Josh Allen. Like, you know, Jordan Love last year, maybe some people out there might have thought that Jordan Love couldn't beat Josh Allen. I would have thought that's in the range of outcomes for you to be close enough. So I think that's the biggest thing I want to be mindful of when I'm taking anybody. Like Bo Nix is the one that gives me a little bit of pause, but he was so great in Oregon. But any of these other guys late, like Derek Carr can beat a Josh Allen in a game stack. I think Bryce Young, with how he played last year, with how I expected him to play with Dave Canales, I think he could beat a Josh Allen in a 1-week sample size. Like, that's the hope you get for these late QBs, just who can get me through week 17 and get me through the year. And then also, you know, hopefully spike in week 17. Me pestering you about loud is just a master plan to make me take more QJ. To be clear, I will not take more QJ really in general, but the occasional share if he's falling a little bit and I have Patriots stuff, I think that's okay by me. Part of me wonders if I should go back to the Brendan Rice train, but I just don't feel confident enough in that yet. JJ McCarthy goes at 171. Why? Did he take Jefferson at least? He's taken JJ McCarthy unstacked as his third QB at 171. This quadrant here has been dreadful. Like, just bad pick after bad pick. Maybe not the second guy. I think he did something dumb too. But no, maybe not the second guy. 1, 3, and 4, though, have just been slaughtering this room with bad picks. And really not opening enough value either. There's really nobody who I'd say no at any point. I don't know. Unless they're really high priced. I guess I'm low on Travis Kelce, but I'll get some shares of Travis Kelce down the home stretch. There's really nobody I'd say should ever be a firm no in best ball unless you're putting in like 10 entries. Then knock yourself out. Go to your heart's content. Shark feels like the better bet. Doesn't mean he is. He's playing okay, though. Top 3 is clearly defined. All right, we got a bunch of QBs on the board here. All very exciting, I am sure. I think this guy might be trying to backdoor Aaron Rodgers. Go nuts. We'll take Will Levis for this one. One QB out of the way. Correlating with our two pass-catching E-backs here, Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. And then do we take another one? Denver, New England. I don't believe in it, guys, but we're going to do it today. Does Carr matter more? Because Carr will fall back to me, or he should. God, I really don't want to not get Carr, though. You're going to go Carr. I'm ready to take Drake May, to be clear, but it's more important to the team to get Derek Carr than it is to get Drake May. So I'm ready to take Drake May in this build. We're not going to do it yet. 2-5-7-2. We got Will Levis, Derek Carr here. No bye week confliction, so we should be okay no matter what here if we have to go with just two guys at QB. And we have 2 rounds left. But Will Levis, Derek Carr are the QBs. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears, Marvin Harrison Jr., or I guess wide receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Jalen Polk, and Quentin Johnston. And at tight end, Dalton Schultz and Hunter Henry. So would still like to get a New England QB as part of this just to make the bet. Now with Levis and Carr, I think we're really live to take Drake May. The issue is that Drake May might go in this room because this room is just stupid, is fundamentally it. Chark at least has a spike week pass. QJ's shown nothing. QJ just wasn't that bad per down last year. I'll continue to defend that. I think the perception of him is much worse than he actually is as a player. He's just like Kadarius Toney a little bit, where it's like, and Kadarius Toney has also had a ceiling, blah, blah, blah. You can push back on that. But he's just like one of those guys where the perception is he's so bad. Everyone has been buying into him being so bad. He then doesn't do enough to show that he's not bad. But people felt that way about Jameson Williams too. Like some guys come along slower. And now Jameson Williams, the belle of the ball, is getting talked up more than anybody in camp for the Lions. So I think that to me, I'm out on guys in moments in time, but I still fundamentally feel for a lot of people out there, you're going to do better just not going like, I'm out on this guy. He stinks. It's like, I'm out on him at this price. I think I'm okay with him at this price. And then defining what that price is. So that's how I think best ball should go. But obviously follow your hearts. May Labe finish makes sense. That's interesting. Interesting thought. Still don't need the 6th RB, though, would be the one point of contention. But we could do it. We got options. Troy Franklin falling again. Just no reason for him to fall, really. He's the exact same bet he has been this entire time since he got drafted. Assuming that he was going to start was never the thing. Hoping he gets work is going to be the thing. This guy takes Garendo. Garendo's not even practicing. He's going to be out for weeks. Oh, this part of the board. Besides David, who I think is doing a good job on the 2-hole. Took Troy Franklin at 194. Scoop up that value, David. Good job. 1, 3, and 4 holes, though. Yikes. Yikesies. People writing off QJ after 1 year is silly. Price is fair enough to hope for a 2nd-year breakout in a wide-open wide receiver room. Look, I don't think it's wide open anymore. I don't think there's going to be enough pass volume there either to have a lot of confidence in it. But he's a guy that takes one injury. It takes Chark. I'm just deciding, hey, we don't want to use Chark anymore for some reason because he's not as good as he was in the past. Like, there's a lot of ways for QJ to get on the field. Granted, how much he's going to get, even if he gets on the field, I think it's a valid question. But he's just writing him off as like, oh, he's a shit player and he's never going to be good. I think that's the part that I find a bigger issue with. Saying he's going to have a hard time getting on the field and scoring you fantasy points, I think that's more logical. But people write him off because they think he's dog shit. And it's like, no, you write him off because you think he's going to have a hard time scoring fantasy points for you that justify him at an ADP of whatever. But whatever. People feel differently, I'm sure. Justin Fields goes 199. Wouldn't shock me to see that happen more frequently. Josh Reynolds got the buzz for one day. Troy Franklin. Again, I just said it earlier in the news section, but it was Reynolds got an athletic puff piece yesterday. Franklin got one the day before. Ben Albrecht guy pushed back on Franklin, but Reynolds is just looking okay. He caught a few passes from Bo Nix. I don't think Reynolds is getting all the buzz, to be clear. He's getting more buzz than Mims and Sutton. And I would say an equal amount of buzz to Franklin. He doesn't even look happy when he makes a catch. Are we grading him down for that? Are we grading QJ down? He doesn't look happy enough for you when he makes a catch. We got Drake May here, who feels okay. All right, we've got week 16 correlation for Derek Carr. We've got week 17 correlation for Drake May. We don't have any correlation, Oppo team correlation for Will Levis. Juwan Johnson as tight end 3 would feel okay. Cedric Wilson as another New Orleans receiver would feel okay. I really don't think Lave makes sense for this team. I think he's a little bit, we got enough at RB. I think it's another Juwan team for me. I can live with QJ being wide receiver 7 in a team where we have enough talent up top. And Jalen Polk, who I do expect to ascend. So we get a share of Drake May here. I'm at 4% Drake May, so much less than your other favorite best ball drafters. We got Will Levis, Derek Carr, and Drake May as our QB room. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Tony Pollard, and Tyjae Spears, the RB room. I felt done at 5. Nothing about the board made me feel differently about that. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Jalen Polk, and Quentin Johnston. And we have Dalton Schultz, Hunter Henry, and Juwan Johnson. So did not get the usual week 17 layered correlation I like. We got some week 16 stuff, some week 17 stuff, not really correlating enough for either to feel like the team is like loaded for that time period. But we did okay here, so I can live with this team. And of course, the data you see on the screen, you can get it for yourself at bestballoverlay.com. Go take advantage of that right now. Support those guys who are just real frequent best ball players like you guys are, except they made tools to try to help people get better at making best ball decisions on stream, as well as just in drafts themselves. So go check it out, bestballoverlay.com. Promo code SPLASH on there to get yourself $10 off. And of course, guys, let's just do the plugs. Underdog, promo code SPLASH on there gets you $2 to $50 in bonus cash. If you're not on Underdog yet, please go do it. It's the best site to play on for best ball. I will say that. If you are on Underdog, though, go play on Drafters. We'll be doing more drafts on there coming up here, including Saturday, a doubleheader coming up on Drafters. Actually, might do a Saturday and Sunday doubleheader this weekend. So great time to get in on Drafters. Promo code SPLASH on there gets you a $100 deposit match and lots of free entries. And the big difference between Drafters and Underdog, full point PPR, no pods, no playoff pods, just 17 weeks of total scoring. It is a fun time there. Last year I finished top 110 with only 9 entries. You can do the same, I think, if you put in the work. So go check it out, drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. Probably my baby. Go check it out, probably.com. Of course, top of market sportsbook data will change your life in sports betting. And even if all you do is follow the best bets, you're talking about a 20% to 30% flip in what you're trying to do every day. Because sometimes you'll take bets at minus 110, minus 115, and they're plus 110 in another book. And that's the kind of thing that will kill your bankroll. And people don't talk about it enough in content. So check it out, probably.com, PureOBLY.com, and Hall of Fame game today. I don't think there's anything, actually, quick look real fast to see if I can. I don't think Stochastic has any data for it. But I'll check to see if they do, or a sim tool for it. But Stochastic's DFS tool is going to be more of a priority on the stream coming up here in the next few weeks. And no, they don't have anything, it looks like, for this on their normal page. Do their Sims tools have anything? So I'm just checking. I'll share this tab real fast. Hold on. Just taking a look here. New products coming out for Stochastic this year. And how do I go to the Sims? How about use the Sims? Is there an option for that? Why is it making me click all these things? Why is Stochastic trying to kill me? All right, NFL. NFL's not even on the main menu anymore. All right, well, fucking shit. All right, here we go. DFS simulation tools, NFL sim tools. All right, we got it. Fucking not great menu running. I have to admit that. All right, sign in. Hopefully I still have access. Okay, so no Sims tool for the Hall of Fame game, unfortunately. If you want to play the Hall of Fame game, though, I guess ETR would be the one to try then. Stochastic, I always support first and foremost. ETR, though, in season, I combine the data with Stochastic and ETR together. So I'd say go to ETR.com if you want to check it out. Cody Main does one of the best jobs in the biz. Splash Play alum Cody Main. Full cosign to them, even though I do not have a promo code for them right now. Go to ETR if you want the Hall of Fame game. Shout out to all these fine folks who support the show. You too can do that by hitting the join button down below for $4.99. Of course, along the way, you get 10 team reviews a month from me, a VIP Discord, my rankings updated weekly, exportable to Underdog with 275 plus player blurbs, and also my news items now in a Google Doc. So you can check through, go through the entire training camp season if you want to see all the things I've written down as important. Go check that out. Hit the join button. Support the show for under $5. And hey, follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Gamble responsibly. And I'll be back tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow, probably a doubleheader. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your days. Go watch Davis Maddock if you want. I'm sure he's got some good stuff going. And good luck. Bye-bye.